Good afternoon now, everybody, and welcome in person and online to the EEPA Masterclass on Investing in Entrepreneurial Skills. My name is Tom Cooney and I am Professor of Entrepreneurship at Technological University Dublin. Also, for the past 10 years, I have been a member of the grand jury of the European Enterprise Promotion Awards, and it's something that has continually fascinated me. I'm delighted to be part of it because what's really interesting as being a jury member is you get to see all the exciting initiatives that are happening across Europe. A number of years back, we were having a discussion as part of the grand jury kind of revision of the year. And one of the things that came up in conversation was we felt that not enough people might be hearing about these initiatives and learning from them. So about 4 years back, it was decided to have a masterclass session like this, where one of the categories would be showcased and they would explain their initiatives and we would talk through it in some detail. The purpose of today's session is to learn from their experiences, and also that we would, if any of you are interested in replicating what they do in your home country, then you can take away the lessons that that you learned from them today. So it's a conversation. It's like a chat show, okay? And I'm your Graham Norton. So actually we come from pretty close, not too far away from each other in the world. So with that, I'm going to invite each of our speakers there's no presentations, it's just a conversation. So I'm going to invite each to introduce themselves, their idea, and then we'll get into the questions. After we've been through 3 or 4 or 5 questions, as we come towards the latter part of the session, I'll invite questions from the audience and also from people online. So with the introductions over, we'll sit down and I'll first invite Christina to talk to us and tell us a little about yourself, your organization and your idea.
Thank you, Thomas. Happy to meet all of you. Happy to see full house. My name is Kristina Dimova. I'm representing 9 Academy, business organization, academy and community in Bulgaria, which is focused on developing professional, personal and entrepreneurial skills. We have been there for quite a lot of time. This January, we make 10 years of existence. And actually, we are focused on developing this community by searching people who are like-minded with similar values and similar behaviors. Most of the people we have are actually digital savvy. They are in the marketing field, business development, IT sector, but we do have people for other sectors too, agriculture, textile. So we try to find people with similar values and develop their hard skills, but focusing on soft skills because we have seen that hard skills are easier to be developed, but soft skills is something that you can and have to work for all of your life. Actually, the founders of the idea, because currently I'm a PM of the organization, but the founders saw that there aren't such initiatives back then. 10 years from then, we are from the few ones that have survived the 10 years so far, because back then it was a popular thing to be founded, but we are, to be said, sustainable due to our values and due to our community we are trying to develop, and we actually develop pretty successful because we have more than 500 alumni so far, and this is our community apart from our partners, lecturers, experts, and other like-minded fellows with whom we develop a sustainable community for entrepreneurs.
Excellent. Thank you, Christina. Kieran?
Thanks very much, Tom. My name is Kieran Comerford. I'm Head of Economic Development in Carlow County Council's Local Enterprise Office. Carlow County Council is a local authority organisation which is in the southeast of Ireland. Our remit has 3 parts to it. The first is a thing called the Local Enterprise Office, which is a partnership with Enterprise Ireland, the national department, to deliver business soft supports. So that's first-stop shop for business in Ireland, effectively. We both give grant aid and advice and support. Secondly, we look after economic development projects projects in the area of tourism, recreation and other areas like that in the county of Carlow. And thirdly, we do special project development, which involves pitching to national funding, but also doing EU projects. And one EU project we're here to talk about is Craft Hub. And Craft Hub is a fantastic collaboration. Creative Europe funded it across 9 partners. And it's 9 very different partners. So we're a business engagement organisation as part of our organisation, but we have private consultancy firms, we have academic partners, we have trade associations, and the idea was to bring together all these 9 partners and basically save the heritage and the entrepreneurship in creativity, particularly around the craft sector. It initiated through Brexit. We had a very strong relationship with the University of Wales, and we developed a project and got Creative Europe funding. The activities have included things like conferences, digital repositories, the whole thing of developing residencies, but it's very much around that whole thing of brokering and having a legacy around it. So we're actually in the final year of the project, and it's a fascinating journey that we've had throughout it. So that's the project I'm here to present today.
Thank you, Kieran. Morten?
Yes, my name is Morten Møller. I represent the business hub of the region of Central Jutland in Denmark. I guess with everyone's knowledge of geography, you know exactly where we are in Europe here. So we're a business hub, meaning that we provide broad support services for startups and solo entrepreneurs and SMEs. And the whole idea of our project was that, well, we keep hearing that SMEs are the backbone of European economy and startups. That's what we're all going to be living from in the future. Yet only a minority of these actually survive to see their 3rd birthday. And we thought, okay, let's do something about that. Let's try and give them the skills that actually enables them to survive. Let's look deeper into what makes an SME resilient, and then start building these skills with startups and with entrepreneurship students. So that's our idea in essence.
Thank you, Morten. And finally, Monica.
Hi everyone, I'm really glad to be here. I'm representing Panevėžys Development Agency and also our partner organization, Panevėžys Education Center. For those who don't know, Panevėžys is the 5th largest city in Lithuania. We as the Panevėžys Development Agency, we work in 3 very broad areas. So first one is further improving business and investment environment. Secondly, developing local tourism, and thirdly, building the brand of the city. But also we have this horizontal priority, I would say, developing innovation ecosystem in the city and region. And in the area of improving business and investment environment, one of the areas where we very much focus on is talent attraction, retention, and also developing of their skills, especially the skills that are sought after by our local companies. So that's why slightly more than 3 years ago, we teamed up with our partner organization, Panevėžys Education Center, and developed this program, Lessons Measure Up Panevėžys, during which it's in a form of challenge series, during which teams of school children, of students, participate in an auction and buy challenges proposed by local companies, and then spend a month or 2 solving them and then presenting the results to the companies themselves.
Okay, thank you, Monica. So as you can see, folks, there's quite a diversity in terms of the initiatives here. So 9 Academy is investing in entrepreneurial skills to it would be, I suppose, nascent entrepreneurs and early stage entrepreneurs.
Yes, that's right.
With Craft Hub, okay, that's targeted at professional craftspeople, and you might kind of define that for us in a moment, Kieran. And then with Early Warning Europe, it is targeted towards more, I suppose, established businesses, well, kind of early stage and established businesses. And then finally, okay, in terms of investing in entrepreneurial skills, it's towards young people. Also, what's interesting is with Monica and Christina, they're more local initiatives, whereas with Craft Hub and Early Warning Europe, they're more international initiatives. So those are the backgrounds to the initiatives. Let's tease out each of them some more. So Christina, can we start with you, and just where did the idea come from? You know, what need was it filling? Why this target market?
As I have said, 10 years ago, there weren't that many initiatives like that. And to this day, we see that people need to find like-minded people in order to create sustainable organizations, in order to have organization with people whom share the same values as you, because when you're an entrepreneur, you need people with various hard skills. It's not needed if you're an entrepreneur to know everything, but in order for your organization to work, you need to have people who think not like 100% the same way as you, but to behave in the same way, to have the same value, to be like-minded, in order to make that team sustainable, but to have various different parts where you can implement each other to give more and to even receive more in this way. So 10 years ago, the founders wanted to find these people, and to this day we see that people who apply to our academy, because it's a closed academy and the community also is a closed one, in order to sustain these values we see, not to let anyone enter, because a lot of people want to enter. Each year we have more applicants than places to give. So in order to have this sustainable community with various people whom you can network, whom you can join in different businesses, because a lot of our alumni collaborate on different businesses, a lot of them have their own enterprises. In our latest research in our community, around 30% of the people who have fulfilled our survey actually have their own business, and say that Nine Academy was the place where they gained their first impulse to do their business, or to see their business idea in different perspective, in different point of view, to validate it in a certain way. And this is one of our biggest successes so far, that they see the community as a great place to find people who are like-minded, with whom they can work easily, rather than just to search them via online platforms, etc.
Where does the name Nine Academy come from?
We have 9 models, and the bonus one, which is personal development, because we believe that in order to be a successful entrepreneur, professional, the list goes on and on, you have to be good in various areas, but to be good also in your personal development, to gain various skills. So we have 3 models in our personal development model. Actually, this weekend was our first model started for our current season, and the participants see that it's truly important to know which is your communication type of way, how do you learn, how do you speak with others, how do you gain information. This can make you a great professional as well. And in our 9 models, you can check our website. I'm not going to say all of them because 9 models are really much, but we have entrepreneurship, we have sales, we have marketing, we have law, finance, all the spectrums you need to have basic knowledge in order to start a business, and to have the bigger perspective how a business works. If you do not want to be an entrepreneur, but you want to be a professional in a startup or in a corporation, why not?
I like the idea of personal development being part of the program. And again, last night with Sarah Saravahi, she talked about who am I, and I being a resource.
I'm sorry to interrupt you with my colleague, because I'm not alone here. We talked that we do live by her example. We didn't know that there is an academic term by what we were doing, but we are actually doing effective entrepreneurship, and all of the things she said, that you must ask, but in order to ask effectively, you must know what you are willing to give by yourself, because we believe that you should not only receive, but to give to the people around you, and that's why we have a community. We're developing a community of entrepreneurs.
Christina, you keep talking about value system. What is the one big value that is important to be retained?
One, I'm not really sure we can focus only on one, but we do search for people who believe in lifelong learning, who are cooperative, who are empathetic, team workers as well, who are enthusiastic, motivated. These are the things we do look for in our interview process. We have a 2 steps process in order to find the right people.
Okay, excellent. Kieran, will you start by talking us through with Craft Hub and professional craftspeople, who's in, who's out when it comes to craftspeople?
Thanks for the complicated question. I think the genesis of Craft Hub comes from a collaboration, and I think what's really important, and again resonating from last night as well, there's 9 countries who have 9 very different definitions of this. So some people would say, well, actually, you have to be a member of a craft guild. Some people would say you have to be a professional student. Some people would have to say, well, actually, making an economic living from it. So what we did as part of the conversation, as we designed each module of it, we kind of said, well, actually, what does it define for that module? So, for example, for the residencies or for the digital repository which are effectively a group of over 300 tutorials, you know, they came from everything from students to academics to commercial partners and so on and so forth. So what was really important is we didn't overly hamstring ourselves on one definition for the entire program. What we did is define a definition for every aspect. I think what was really important in Craft Hub was the consensus around quality. Because there's a lot of hobbyists out there doing craft, and it's fantastic and it's great, it's part of the DNA of all our countries. But what's really important is in every country they recognise quality and standards, and then we came up with a mechanism for each tool by saying, well, actually, we're having a call for the international showcase. We had a panel of 9 people who were at that level, completely not involved in the project, saying, actually, from our dynamic, and the other thing we designed, so for example, when the international exhibition toured, they came to Ireland, the Visual, which is a wonderful venue we have with Carlow County Council, we really focused on weaving and lace making, burst lace as a project. And actually what was really interesting in the process, and Matira over here from Italy, as part of COVID, we did an exchange, burst lace exchange. So we actually taught skills by post with older generation and younger generation. So it's not purely about the definition of what is a craft person. It's around a story piece that links entrepreneurship, innovation and craft together, but has quality wrapped around the whole thing.
So if I self-identify as a craftsperson, that's not enough?
No, we would go through, and that's one of the things about the consortium is the consortium has every angle of skill sets. So we have pure academics, we have people like ourselves who are business support agencies, we have private consultancy firms, we have craft bodies as well. So we had that group of people, but also part of the group of people was that sharing of knowledge. So whether it be with Scotland ourselves or whatever it be during the process, that collaborative network. And I think as all the activities rolled out over the last 3 years, it's the one thing from us as lead, it's seeing that collaborative in reality. Like we had craft people travel all around Europe, and everywhere they went, it was all about learning exercise, building networks. How do we innovate? How do we bring 3D technologies together? How do we bring waste to circular economy? So it wasn't about your pure traditional craft. It evolved into various things, and that's what we wanted to do, because we knew we wanted to save the heritage of craft, and we knew we wanted to save entrepreneurship, but we wanted to do that through an innovation funnel, and the activities really allowed for that.
And I suppose, again, just teasing out the origin of the idea, Kieran, right? Like, I would have thought that there's lots of guilds available in each country. There's lots of professional development for craftspeople. What was it about your idea that was different? Where was the value added that you saw in comparison to that kind of guild type training?
Yeah, like it's about taking the best of, like, firstly, for example, I led the project and I probably know very little about craft. I wouldn't be sent shopping for a piece of craft by my wife, for example. But like, it is important that, you know, that collaboration was key, because we were looking at it from different angles and we respected the fact. So we have, as you know, a wonderful trade, Design and Crafts Council of Ireland, organisations like that in Ireland who do wonderful things, but nobody's looking at it from every angle. They're looking at it from quality angle or skills angle, but they're not looking at innovation, circular economy and everything in one go. And that's what the activities allowed us to. So that's effectively what we brought to the table. The other thing was the partnership allowed us to look at, like, we're a local authority, the private consultancy firms look at it in a different way, the academic partners, and we also had different motivations around research and legacy as well around it. So the uniqueness was the partnership in itself, and I think that's one of the learnings from the project is, and we, I suppose, back to the genesis of the project, like, we had a very long relationship with Wales, and again, resonating on last night's presentation, it was about people who wanted to make changes. So we had done projects in food and other sectors before, and it was really about saying, listen, these food projects were great and this is a legacy of them. How do we apply that to another sector, you know? So
just finally, how did you pick the other partners?
It was through a process of brokering and conversation. Very unusually, COVID kicked in. I actually physically hadn't met any of the partners before the application went in. We went through a process. We kind of had learned, we were involved in a few Interact projects ourselves in the University of Wales before Brexit, and we had learned about partnerships at work. And I suppose the other thing we had learned in Carlow was, how do you get value out of an academic partner when you're coming at it from a different angle? And I think that's something for anyone doing European projects. Like, everybody is different. but appreciating and respecting what everyone brings to the table. And we kind of came up with this matrix saying, actually, we want this mix of the various things, and then we went hunting for the mix effectively. And we're involved in another Interreg project as well now, and it's the same thing. It's that team building piece is really, you know, and for all our projects it's really important, but it's all around skill set. And the other thing is the willingness to give. We never had an issue during the project ever where someone says, oh no, we want to develop this for us. It was very much a sharing experience for the common good of all the participants.
Again, kind of echoing some of the values that Christina talked about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, yeah, look, we've all been involved in EU-funded projects where partnerships are wonderful. And there's also been others where you can't wait for the project to finish.
I've never had any of that.
Now you're looking at me.
Which brings me to Morton.
Thank you very much, Tom.
No, you and I share a common, I suppose, soapbox in that financial literacy is a challenge in small business owner managers. But you're doing something about it. Talk to us about Early Warning Europe and where the genesis of that idea came from.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was great. You know, I was listening to Christina and Kieran here, and I can see we share this holistic view of you have to get 360 degrees around the company and the entrepreneur. You know, it's not just about the business, it's very much about the person. As well, and that's our starting point. So since 2007, we've been managing a program called Early Warning in my home country. We actually learned from a great program in the Netherlands. Frank is down there, and it's basically about helping SMEs that are on their way into a crisis that they can't manage. So we've been helping more than 10,000 SMEs in Denmark since 2007, and for the last 7 years we've gone European, and we now have a strong European network of like-minded organizations and networks actually helping entrepreneurs turn around a crisis situation if it can be turned around, and if not, then close down the company fast and cheap and honestly, you know. And it's not just about providing services, it's also about making the most of the knowledge you gain from providing these services. And one of these is that we see some patterns in why these companies get into a crisis. And it's very much about skills, or rather about the lack of basic management skills. Financial skills, of course, I mean, if you can't budget your own cash flow, then sooner or later it's going to kill you. Absolutely. But there's also decision-making skills, there's strategic skills, organizational skills, there's law, there's contracts, there's a whole lot of things you need to get right if you are to succeed with your company. And at the end of the day, you know, people start a company because they have a vision, because they have a dream. That's fantastic. You know, it's how it should be. And that's why they have their focus. Not a lot of people are passionate about accountancy or contract law. A few probably are, but most are not. And that's why we thought, okay, let's try and see if we can help them gain these skills right from the outset, because we very much pick up the companies when they fall in the early warning system. But let's try and see if we can instill this understanding and this basic level of capacity with the startups. So our target group was brand new startups and also entrepreneurship students in incubators and entrepreneurship classes to make sure they get it right from the beginning. Because if we can help them learn these skills, there's so many bankruptcies that can be avoided. And in the end, well, the startups that come onto the market will be more resilient.
Martin, given the importance of finance, right, why are owner managers, in your opinion, so resistant to, like, and as I keep saying, I don't want you to be a qualified accountant. I just want you to be able to look at a set of figures and get them and understand how you can make better decisions given that information.
Yeah.
Why the resistance?
Well, actually, I had a meeting last month with the National Union for Craft Bakers in my home country, and I talked about exactly that, and the guy said, well, our members, they really, really like to bake bread. I think that answers your question.
Yeah. But I also presume they like to be in business.
And they probably do learn something in vocational training about this. It's just not in their field of focus. And you know, if it's not something you can see a direct what's in it for me about, then it's just in through one ear and out through the other. So you may go through it, but you don't gain the skills that you actually need when you go out and open your own bakery, sadly enough.
Are you finding a way of getting more and more people to learn about financial literacy, to become more adept? Is it a bit like, when you're feeding children, putting the vegetables in obscure ways? Is it something similar with entrepreneurs?
What, you mean we cheat them into it?
Yeah.
Well, actually, we measured a little bit, and we saw that the SMEs that we assisted a couple of years ago, we looked at how did they actually get through the lockdown and the obvious lack of income opportunities there. And it actually turned out that measured against the placebo group, they outperformed the market by 65%.
Wow.
So there is something there. We didn't ask them, what is it? Why did you put these figures in? We can just see that they're much better off in the next crisis they face after we've been there with them.
Okay, very good. Very good. We'll tease that out some more. Monica, love what you're doing, and this notion of getting young children involved in kind of enterprise education from an early age. You might talk us through the different age groups, first of all, and then how the idea originated and, how it kind of developed.
Yeah, so Panevėžys is one of the most important manufacturing hubs in Lithuania. And when we started 3 years ago working as a city development agency, we wanted to help our companies, mostly manufacturing companies, grow. And also attract new investors, especially in the manufacturing sector. But the problem we have a problem of talents. We don't have enough people with the right skills here in the city and region, and in Lithuania in general. It's a common problem. So they were really desperate about that and really needed some help from agencies like us to help find these people, attract these people, help them get into manufacturing sector and so on. But at the same time, they were expecting education institutions to solve this problem. They were looking at schools and universities and colleges and looking at them and why you're not doing anything to solve the problem. While educational institutions, they were looking at the businesses. Well, it's their problem. Why don't they step up and tell us what to do? What kind of skills do they need? And invite us to come and work together. So they were looking at each other and not doing anything, just expecting something from each other. So we found our partner, Panevėžys Education Center, which works with schools mostly, while we work with business companies mostly. So we sat together. I remember that day, it was in autumn 3 years ago. We sat, drank some coffee and thought we should do something like they work with schools, we work with businesses. We somehow managed to drink coffee together and discuss the issue. Why don't schools and companies do the same? So we thought we must find a way to facilitate that collaboration, to help them find the way to talk to each other about the issues that they're facing and help them find ways to work together in a way that's also exciting for the children. That's why Challenge series, in a way that's also good for the teachers, because the program helps them answer the question that they receive 100 times a day, like from the children, from the students. How am I ever going to use the things that I study here at school? How am I ever going to use this maths formulas or something? So teachers really needed some help to show the children what's out there, what's outside the classroom, what the market looks like, how today's companies work like, especially manufacturing companies, because there's still so many stereotypes around manufacturing, like that you're working in some dirty conditions, oil up to here, and So we had to change that understanding, and the only way to do that was to help them talk and do something together.
And what I love about the initiative is the experiential learning approach, and how the young people are working with real companies, with real life situations. Now, you were explaining to me, and I thought this was really interesting, how it doesn't matter the age of the student, everyone gets the same problem, but the way they approach it will be quite different. So do you want to explain that to us?
Yeah, so that was It took us a while to develop this concept, actually, because when we first invited companies to propose real-life challenges that they face during their activities for the children, they were like, yeah, but what age are they going to be? And we said they're going to be anything from 7 years old to 18 years old. But what kind of challenge there has to, it should be like? But then it really helped us that we had access to the community of local teachers who helped us understand that children are so creative. They can, approach any kind of challenge and find ways to work with that and build on that and come up with some very, very interesting solutions. So I think it helped for us that we had access through our partner, Panevėžys Education Center, to the whole community of schools and teachers. And at the same time, we could access the businesses and really understand what concerns teachers and businesses have, and maybe they should not be concerns at all, because these are there is no problem at all. So we invited, of course, that was an experiment at first. We were not sure if that would work, but we asked companies to really come up with something that they genuinely face at their daily activities, not something specifically made for the children, for the students, but something that they, come up with a question that they ask themselves daily in their company, and then put that question to the students and see what they can do with it. And apparently they can do a lot.
Yeah, but like young people are amazing and will come up with wonderful ideas. And again, like what I think about experiential learning like this, I keep saying this back home, is that you don't need to have an entrepreneurship subject per se at primary school or even in secondary school. Like it can be built into, like if you've got a company coming in, you can, when you're teaching maths, you can have the problem in the maths question. When you're teaching language, it can be in the language section, right?
And sorry for interrupting, but it's not only about different ages of students, it's also about different subjects that teachers teach, because we invite to participate all types of teachers. They may be teaching physics, maths, or maybe arts, or drama or something, but the challenges are the same. So of course they try maybe to choose a challenge that is closest to their activities, but not necessarily, because they find that each challenge can be interpreted in very many ways. And especially when we talk about experiential learning, it's really about, it's not about theory. You don't need to have any basic knowledge in related to that challenge. You go home, you ask your parents, maybe you ask your school community, do some surveys to find out like what it's all about. You go to the company with a list of questions and you gather knowledge like that. You maybe do experiments, maybe some designs, whatever, and that's how you approach the problem.
Have you done any research in terms of students who take the initiative? Are they performing better in school? Are they attending more? Is there any other benefits that are coming out of it in comparison to those who are not involved?
Well, we are in progress. It's been only 3 years, so we are right now starting to develop some kind of metrics to see, to measure the impact of these initiatives. But we do have, in Panevėžys, we do have a huge robotics center and STEAM learning center with different labs, and we see that those children, those students who participated in the initiative, then they want to continue. They don't want it to be just once in a year project. They want to build on that, and they go to these labs, and it's interesting to see those same children working in labs on their projects that not necessarily started with the initiatives, but encourage them to come up with different projects and develop that on their own. So we see those children in these labs, in this robotics center. We are not sure if that was what exactly motivated them to do that, but believe that all these things add up.
There's been some really interesting research done in Denmark by the Foundation for Young Enterprise, if I remember correctly. And they've done longitudinal studies with young people in primary school who've taken entrepreneurship classes. And what they've found is that young people who take these classes are more likely to attend school and perform better in other subjects, interact better with their peers, and interact better with their teachers. And I keep saying this at home, to schools at home, where entrepreneurship is seen as kind of like this capitalistic activity that we can't be teaching young people. And you're trying to say, actually, no, it's about a way of thinking, a way of behaving, and here's all the other benefits. They're more likely to turn up at school. They're more likely to engage in their lessons. They're more likely to perform better. Isn't that what every principal wants? Sorry, I'll go back to off my soapbox. Very quickly for each of you, just a quick answer on gathering resources. Where did the money come from? I bet everyone wants to know that.
We have a nominal fee from. Yeah, it's okay. I wanted to check for the microphone. We have a nominal fee from our participants. To be fair, we're not a social enterprise as a definition of a social enterprise, but our business model is kind of the same because we reinvest everything we gain as taxes. The nominal fees we use mainly for administrative taxes or for our facilitators because they're people as well. They have a life to pay as well. So these are the main keys. This year we had a breakthrough because we have a first partner in employer branding partnership. We're happy for that because we share the same values as that company. We had severe talks with different companies on that matter, but we're not going to make a compromise. If the company does not share the same values or the company wants too much from our side to go against what we do for our community, we're not going to partner with that. So this is one thing, and we're actually looking for European projects because we haven't looked through that opportunity so far, but we see that we can give forward to our know-how we have gained in our country to give it to other great organizations out there in Europe. So we're eager to partner. If there is anyone out there in the public that wants to partner with us, we're really happy to talk with you and to share knowledge.
I thought you were going to say, is there anyone out there that wants to give you money?
I didn't want to say that directly, but thank you for doing it from me.
Kieran, in terms of generating resources, money to get up and running, it's EU funded.
Yeah, no, Crafta was funded under Creative Europe, and I suppose it was 1.5 million euros worth of funding on a 50-50 basis with all the partners. I think what's really important is money is only part of the vehicle. I think what's really important is all the partners have to have a subset of a network and an ecosystem that suited the project in order to deliver project value, and then to build teams around it. So I know in Ireland, for example, within the local authority, I'm in economic development, we had to bring in our creative department, our libraries department, and we worked with NCAD, which is National College of Art and Design, on aspects of it, and across all the partners. So while Creative Europe funding was really important to the process, what was really important is the plethora of other projects, and I think the cross-contamination of projects. So part of the actual craft of process is actually developing a sustainability plan for all the aspects. So we're currently in the middle of that and looking at either spin-out projects or commercial opportunities and things like that as part of it. But the main bulk of the funding came from Creative Europe.
Okay, thank you. Morten, you started in Denmark first and then went international. So was there different funding mechanisms?
But I actually like your word resources when you started this, because I like to start with the human resources. If you want to do things better than a system that exists already, then you really need better brain capacity. And that's where, our unique selling point, that's our network of early warning mentors from around Europe. These are senior business managers who actually give their time free of charge to help others. I mean, it's amazing that someone actually wants to do that. And they know everything about resilience and about turning, not very resilient companies more resilient. They know where to look for the weaknesses, and above all, they know how to explain this in a clear language that the entrepreneurs and startups actually understand. So what we did was actually to put a group of these mentors into a room with some of our in-house learning experts, pick their brains, find out what exactly do we need to teach to the startups, and well, it's an impressive source of knowledge that we tapped into. So we composed a set of learning modules based on what they found to be the most important. And of course, there was the financial contribution. We got a grant from the EU program Erasmus+, and then our network or our partnership also put in some of their own funding. These are public sector partners, NGO partners, a university, and it was actually an easy sell to get the partners on board once we started explaining why are we actually doing this, what we want to achieve with it.
Okay, excellent. Again, resources, and coming back to Sarasar Valley last night. Monica, where did you gather your resources and funding from?
So basically, we needed 3 types of resources. Access to the communities, 2 communities, 3 communities, you could say, companies, teachers, and school children. So we had access because we partnered with our partner institution, Panevėžys Education Center, who have been working with city schools for many years. So they knew how to approach them. They had contacts. They knew the children, the teachers who are motivated and always willing to try new things and participate in new projects. But this access was really important because 3 years ago, we were a very new institution who has just started working. So if we just came to schools and said, let's do something, they would probably have said, we have some other stuff to do. So that's fine for us. And we had access to business companies, but that also comes from our experience doing some other different projects. But this access was really a very important resource to be able to engage them into this project. Another thing was, of course, some human resources for the project management. So we need at least one person who would be the facilitator to make sure that the collaboration takes place and it goes somewhere, and then we have the results that we expected to have. And the third resource was some financial, but very little financial resources for the incentives, because we needed some incentives for the business companies, mainly for publicity. Because of course they want to participate in an initiative because it helps to, develop talents who might be their future employees. But at the same time, they still wanted something else because they have to give up their time to work with these school children. That's something extra to their daily activities of doing business. And we also needed some incentives for the students and their teachers because we didn't want to force this program onto them. We wanted it to be exciting for them so that they come and participate and compete for something, for a prize, maybe for a trip to some science center or technology center in Estonia or somewhere else. So the municipality and the local companies really helped us to gather these resources for the project management so that we can have an employee who works with this initiative, and also for these prizes and for this publicity of the participants. So really municipality, the local companies, and access to the schools.
Okay, thank you, Monica. And again, interesting how with each of the initiatives about having a desire and then you find the resources to make it happen. Yeah. I've got one question and then I'll open up to the floor. It's a simple enough question. What were the key lessons? 2 or 3 key lessons you've learned that you want to share with the audience in terms of what you've learned from the initiative and making it happen?
Well, I think I will repeat the other panelists, but people. People are the key asset because, yes, we talked about what we have as financial structure. I am absolutely on the same page as Morten because we do believe that this is the main resource. So to find people who have, I'm going to repeat myself once and once again, who have the same values and behaviors is crucial. If you want to have a sustainable organization, this is a huge point. Professional, personal, and entrepreneurial development goals all in together. And to make the dream work, the teamwork is crucial. So this is absolutely a must. You must have your own community, but to have a great community, you must engage with other communities who are like-minded to yours. So communities and ecosystems will be crucial not only for entrepreneurs, but to all professionals who want to be successful in the future.
I suppose what's also interesting, Christina, with your initiative, when you talk about people, it's not just the people who are delivering the training, right? You also spend a lot of time on the value system of the people receiving the training.
Absolutely.
So it's normally the focus is on the trainers, but not so much on the trainees.
In our educational system, it's a great thing because we have around 50 participants is the top maximum, so our participants can talk one-on-one with the experts. They are not like sitting like us on a stage and there are around 100 people like it's on most educational systems. No, we want them to have one-on-one conversation with the experts in order to exchange knowledge, because the experts who come to train our participants actually love the idea of values, and they know that they will meet great people who have a lot of potential in front of them, because potential is gained, as I have said, by values.
Yeah, and sorry, I had a follow-up question on that. So I know the question. How many cohorts per year?
Around one. We had 1 year with 2 cohorts because of the pandemic. We saw that it was not an easy way to sustain an online educational system, but we tried to be ambitious and to have 2. But currently we have 1 cohort. It's around 4 months, like most of the programs in this field.
Okay, okay. Key lessons, Kieran? What have you learned from the process that you can share with people?
Well, I can share everything. It's always rosy. No, I think as lead partners, the leadership and leadership by collaboration, and collaboration as a tool by itself. What was really good in Craft Hub was we brought a leadership skill, and us being cold to the subject while we have a Leo and we have an ecosystem there was really important. But I think the other thing is we had a strong leadership of the partners in their disciplines. So our partners in Greece looking after the sustainabilities, our partners in Italy looking after communication, the academic partners looking after the research content, but letting them lead. Too often I see in European project, the leader is the leader, and therefore it's not as collaborative as it could be, whereas that's something that really was good in Craft Hub, that the leaders led their work packages. There was always some discussion and consensus, but I think the other thing is the ecosystem piece about, we're dealing with craft people who are very different across Europe, and when you're designing a conference or designing something, it's very different how you design something in Ireland, how you first in Oslo, or so on and so forth. So it's spending that bit of time on it. We started during COVID, which was a massive challenge. Like, Craft is very tactile. We did the whole first 2 years nearly digitally. But again, I think that leadership and the people thing again, it will always come back to that. We were very lucky to have people who are passionate. That's really, I suppose, if you're building a team, no different than anything else, just make sure you find passionate partners, and also have a no hide thing. We had problems during the project, but they're discussed and we get on, and that's the main thing.
Okay, so basically, you allow people to, offer their expertise and trust them to lead in their work packages, would be one of the key learnings. And the other was that, appreciate that there's different cultures, different systems. Yeah,
absolutely. And like it's, especially when you're lead, like in the end of the day, as a lead partner, you have to deliver something at a certain date and a certain time on a certain budget. Yeah. But you kind of have to park that for a second and let the natural process evolve. And then when times you do have to come in as a lead partner, come in, but it's very rare during Craft Hub. As I said, let people lead. And I think, as I said, it is something I'd learned. I've done 20 years of EU projects at this stage, and something I've seen the good and the bad of, so it's something in Craft Hub we definitely brought the good of too, so.
Yeah. And that kind of trust comes back to the selection of partners in the first instance.
It's a bit like dating. Yeah, exact same as dating. Yeah. So.
So that'll be our next show, blind dates. Martin, what were the key lessons for you?
Plenty. But just one, it's really hard to change people's habits. We wanted to impact a lot of stakeholders in the vocational training system and universities and business incubators and so on. But of course, when you come and tell them, look, we found some gaps in what you guys do, we'd like to help you plug them, it's kind of difficult. Just to give an example, we surveyed with 500 SMEs all over Europe based on a list of indicators of resilience. One of them was a strategic approach to networking. It's nowhere in the curriculum of any of the entrepreneurship classes or incubator courses that we found anywhere. Now, going back to the incubators or the VET establishments and say, look, your students actually say that you need this, but you don't teach it already. It's like, it's hard to get them to take it on board and actually use it.
Yeah. I'm really interested in that. What other kind of notions or kind of ideas like that did you pick up that's not been done, that should be done?
Well, one of them is being resilient about how you communicate. in a company. That's also completely absent in the curriculum. That when you communicate, you shouldn't just communicate the happy stories that we're growing like crazy and getting a lot of prizes and things like that. You should communicate in a way where your company appears resilient also when the tide turns. And that's also completely absent anywhere. And actually, we found that the only establishment survey that actually just remotely taught these things were actually the sailor academies, the maritime schools where you train to become like a sailor or a shipping agent. Imagine you have to stray that far off the mainstream to find anything like it.
And is resilience itself taught or developed anywhere?
It's taught, but in a fragmented way, where in some classes you have a little bit about budgeting and, learn how to read your contracts right so you don't get cheated and things like that. But it's not put together as a general concept, as a stream through the entrepreneurship classes.
Wow. And again, that's something I think that needs to be addressed. I've delivered a program, an online entrepreneurship program for people with disability, and one of the sessions is you are not your business, and it's about balancing personal and business well-being, and that you got to separate them, which is a tougher task than I had imagined when we set out on it. Monica, for you, what were the 3 key lessons you'd like to share with people?
I think the main lesson was just to start doing, start experimenting. Instead of trying to build an excellent program, instead of trying to think about all the different scenarios that might happen or might not happen and how to engage all these different stakeholders, just do something, try working with them, bring them to the same room, get them to talk to each other and see what happens. That's really one thing that we did, and I think that was successful. It was in the times of COVID, so doing some experiential learning program in the times of COVID was a bit tricky, but still we thought, let's just start doing something. If it fails, we'll have some lessons. But it didn't fail. It improved. Actually, we started with something slightly different. At first, our initial idea was to create teams of the school teachers and company representatives to create scenarios for lessons. So just basically scenarios that a physics teacher could bring to his classroom and teach to the children. And the scenario was supposed to include some elements proposed by the local companies, so that some real cases and some examples. But then, so we started on that. It was a good thing that we started working on that because that was a chance to improve it afterwards. So that was the second lesson, that you need to include some exciting elements in your project, especially if you work with children, with students. It has to be exciting, it has to be competitive, it has to be some sort of a competition, maybe with some prizes where you have to perform better than than the other teams and so on. That really helps to engage everyone because they see the purpose. It's not just something that we learn and then we leave. It's for something. That really helps to build the excitement. And when you participate in these auctions where teams buy the challenges, it's so exciting. You cannot just sit still because they're going crazy. They're standing up and shouting and because that's so exciting. They all want to buy the challenges and try to solve them because there are less challenges than the teams. So not everybody gets to solve a challenge. So that really helps to engage everyone. And we see that more and more teams want to participate each year. So that it means it works. And probably the third lesson is make it experiential. It's not new to organize some tours in the companies for the school children. They go and see something, they go back home, but some of them are shy and they don't want to ask questions when they go there. Even teachers, they sometimes are afraid to ask the questions in the companies because they're doing something very important and you go look and that's it. And when you make it about experience, about experimenting, then, you have to ask questions because you have to solve the challenge. So, you have a reason why you ask all these different things and what's this and what's that and how do you do this and how do you do that. And that really helps to strengthen the relationship. Then it's not only about I had a look and I didn't understand anything and I went back home and that's it. But then you really understand what today's companies look like, what they do, what types of challenges they solve, and then you get to talk to the people that work there, and you see they're humans just like you, and you really can collaborate together. It's not that difficult. So I would say these are the three.
Excellent, excellent. And again, Monica, you raise a point that I've often talked about, is that policymakers and enterprise support agencies, I would argue, are not allowed to fail. Okay, the expectation is that you don't waste public funding, you don't waste the taxpayers' money, right? So therefore, if you're in the media or you're on social media or something like that, if a public agency or policymaker tries something and it fails, right? And I go, but sure, if you're not allowed to fail, you won't try things, right? And policymakers and public agencies, in my view, should be allowed to fail. Yeah. Okay, it should be part of being entrepreneurial. I'm sorry, folks, we got about 4 minutes for questions, so I got way too happy and way too excited up here. So we got a question back here, please. Back, yeah, and then I saw a hand over here.
Thank you very much. We start January entrepreneurship skills for public employees of Europe. So we want to support on that. It's a pilot Erasmus Plus. It's an idea for all of you. Academy of Entrepreneurship. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. There was a hand up over here. Yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Stephanie Kage. I'm working with the German government. I have a question for you. Can you give us an example for one of the challenges that were recently bought and solved?
There were more than 30 challenges already, so one of the first ones that come up to my mind, actually, most of the challenges have been somehow related to sustainability, because that really shows that this is something that our companies are really thinking about right now. So one of the challenges was from a local metal manufacturing company. So they asked the children to come up to calculate how much CO2 the company produces and how that number could be reduced. So that's quite a big challenge, because the company is like 200-300 employees. They have like their office buildings, they have their storage buildings and manufacturing buildings, and all these different activities that take place there. But for the children to try to calculate that and then offer something for the company that could actually use in their activities. Yeah, so that's one example.
Thank you. Another question here.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice discussions and topics. My name is Eva. I represent SME from Macedonia, and I will try to be very short to comment and also to address my question to Monica. We are SME, a manufacturer, and we are facing the same issues and challenges that you already discussed. So what Christina before said, it's the best case scenario that all the involved people in enterprise should share the same vision, the same energy, the same ambition, and so on. But what we are facing is the lack of soft skills of the technical people. So in terms of the supportive sectors like marketing, finance, accounting, purchasing, I can say that we have gained such a high level of education and training of entrepreneurship, of soft skills, and there are so many conferences and people from those sectors are following them. But however, it's not the case with technical people, including technical people from universities and from secondary schools. They are very good, they are very focused on their technical skills. They're great, they're genius. But the problem is that we are facing a very big challenge to address our vision, our energy, our motivation, the creativity, the innovation that they need to overtake themselves in order to follow. Because for SME, the critical point whether it will scale up and will sustain or will stay just a local workshop is empowering those people to follow the vision of the let's say, top managers or the founders. I would like to ask Monica, do you think and to what stage this topic is risen in all over Europe and how transparent it is? And in your opinion, do you see whether in some short or mid-term this will be included in universities and schools and governments, etc.? Thank you.
Thank you for the question. Well, it's a difficult question. I think we take the approach that, in Panevėžys at least, that when we start early, we will develop future employees that will have both the technical and the soft skills. So that's why we have this robotics center and STEAM education center. That's why we do these initiatives, so that we really develop the well-rounded people that have both sides. They can go to this physics lab and build some, I don't know, or do some 3D printing stuff, but at the same time, they can make a very good pitch about their project and say it in front of the company representatives and say why their project or their solution was the best one. And that's how they have these both soft and technical skills. So I think you have to start early, and then in a few years, we are going to see the difference. That's
But it's
Okay.
the A in STEAM, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, exactly,
that
exactly.
is it.
Yeah.
So thank you, Monica. And no, in wrapping up, Graham Norton would normally say join us next week, but for me it's join us next year when we hopefully will have another masterclass. Obviously, if you join us tonight at the EEPA Awards, you'll find out who's won from the category. So we'll keep that there, so no fighting, please. And that's tonight. Immediately, obviously, there's lunch. But I do hope that the session has generated some ideas for you in terms of what could be done in your home countries and what could be done to support investing in entrepreneurial skills. These are just some examples, particularly good examples. What came across for me was the passion that they had for what they're doing, the fact that resourcing didn't matter, you just got on with it. And also, more than any other year, the notion of values was very strong, and values that the people themselves hold, but also what they look for in others in terms of partners and participants. So a lot of learning there that I hope has been of value to you, that you've taken away from the session. So thank you for being with us. Thank you to the millions who've been watching online. And most importantly, thank you to our panelists, to Christina, to Kieran, to Morten, and to Monica. A sincere thank you to each of them for being with us today. Thank you.